Hi again, everybody. John McLaughlin. Time for a very special Warrior Wednesday, and I've been kind of holding this one in reserve as we get ready for our Second Amendment Day tomorrow up in Iowa. Our special guest is from the Phoenix, Arizona area, and even 5 years ago, I never would have imagined that I'd be hanging out with this guy and running some gun courses, attending his classes, and so it is my special privilege right now to introduce you to John Correia. John runs Active Self-Protection, which is the most popular YouTube channel in the self-defense space. So if you want to learn something, Active Self-Protection. Then he has an extra channel that gets deeper in the weeds on self-defense matters, interviews, a lot of training there. And John, you're telling me for YouTube overall, you're in the top 5,000, is that right?
Yeah, for all of YouTube in worldwide, we're in the top 5,000 channels all time in views. So about over 1.4 billion lifetime channel views, which is kind of mind blowing.
It's absolutely mind blowing. In other words, more people watch your YouTube channel than all the TV stations in Iowa combined.
Yeah, we're right now getting around 50 million views a month right now. Somewhere between 20 and 50 million is pretty typical for us. And it's a mind-blowing thing thinking that there are plenty of cable networks that don't get that kind of viewership. So
the landscape has certainly changed over the last decade or so.
Let's
talk about Second Amendment. You spoke at your Second Amendment rally in Arizona, and I really like what you're talking about. You know, we have a lot of new gun owners, and I like how you don't get into like tribalism where we're the gun guys and these are the enemy. How do we bring all these new gun owners kind of into the fold, bring them in, show them that we care about them? We actually care about their, self-defense. How does one do that without setting up any boundaries between conservative and liberal and libertarian and all this stuff?
Yeah, and I think that's really the key, John. I think that what you said is absolutely the way. And that is, I don't force team. I think that the way that we move forward is we recognize and we push that the Second Amendment is a civil right, that our entire Bill of Rights are civil rights. And they are rights for all people. They're not rights for my side or my people and not your people. And if I take it away from the Second Amendment a minute, we go to the First Amendment first. The right to free speech is not a right for people who agree with me. It is a right for all people. So even if you're saying things that I don't like, I don't want the government to infringe on that, right? I want the government to stay out of that. Even if you say things I find really objectionable, even heinous, I don't want the government throwing somebody in jail for what they say. Same thing, I'm a Christian, right? I follow the way of Jesus, but the right to free worship in the First Amendment is not for people who worship like me. It's for all people to worship however they want. And whether that's they want to worship as a Muslim, as a Hindu, as a Buddhist, as a Christian, as an atheist, as an agnostic, however they want to worship, I want to honor that and don't want the government to step in and say, you can't do that. Of course, as long as it's not actively harming other people, right? Somebody whose religion is murder, okay, we're gonna step in and have a hard time with that. But I want that respected. So in a similar manner, I see the Second Amendment as a civil right. And so it's not just for people who agree with me. It's not just for people who, well, now you believe in gun rights, so you must believe like I do in all this host of other things. Otherwise, you're not us. No, I just take the agreement and say, man, we can work together on that. And you may disagree with me politically in many other arenas. In fact, I'm going to guess probably a lot of people even watching today probably disagree with me personally about some political stuff. I'm kind of a unique beast personally, politically.
But we still love you.
Yeah, well, see, exactly. I mean, and I say this all the time, like, okay, so I'm kind of a wackadoodle libertarian, like, like night watchman level, like, and people are like, what? And I love to start fights on my Facebook about how driver's licenses are an unconstitutional infringement on the right to free travel. And people go, John, that sounds kind of sovereign citizen. Okay, fine. But my point in saying that is not to make you think like I do in that if you believe in the right to keep and bear arms, but to say just the opposite. You don't have to believe like I do, and we can be friends and work together and encourage people to embrace the right to keep and bear arms. And I would love to see more of what we used to call, and still do a little bit, called blue dog Democrats, who are, folks on the political left who believe in the right to keep and bear arms. And I think we have a unique opportunity to do that, and that's not to say, oh, stop being a Democrat, for instance, right? Okay. I mean, if you believe that that's a better way to run the country and that is there, fine. Let me talk to you about the right to keep and bear arms and why the people need to maintain that right, not as a political conservative, but as an American who wants to live in a society founded on liberty and individualism. So that to me is the way to say, hey, I can respect your positions on other things. I can disagree with them strongly. And I could give you all the hot buttons right now, and I could push every single one and say, okay, you disagree with me, or you don't agree with what we would call like a typical 80s, 90s gun owner position on things. And I'm okay with that. Let's talk about the right to keep and bear arms and keeping our communities safe.
Yep, absolutely. I think it was last year at the Arizona Second Amendment Day, you may have said something about, kind of looking at it like a church. And if we wanted to expand our church, and you were in vocational ministry for many years, we wouldn't say only these certain people can come and attend the church. And the 2A, if that's our church, we need to, be missionaries and be bringing people into the fold and, showing them how you teach and your philosophy on things. And if they want to adapt that's great.
Well, and so to me, in my walk with Jesus, I say there's really two kinds of people, right? And I'll get to the connection in a second here. There are bridge builders and there are gatekeepers. And gatekeepers say, nope, you're not on my team. If you don't meet my standards, you can't come into my park. Whereas a bridge builder says, where are you right now? And I'm going to meet you where you are and try to build you a bridge to my to the thing that I'm trying to help you see, right? So I'm not trying to change you. I'm trying to give you access to this thing that's very important to me. And that particular one in that case is Jesus. So wherever you are, I want to meet you there. I'm not going to gatekeep. Well, and the same thing with the Second Amendment. Am I going to gatekeep? Well, if you're not pure enough, then you don't believe enough. I don't buy that. Instead, I'd rather bridge build. I'd rather say, tell me where you are right now. Tell me where we can agree right now. Let's find that place. And then from there, build some bridges so that we can communicate well, we can respect each other, and we can dialogue and get better together. Sarah Hauptman, part of the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, and Sarah is a friend and an incredible advocate, I think, for the Second Amendment. And also, I'm not outing her by any stretch by saying she is a gun rights liberal, right? She is a lefty politically. And but strongly for the right to keep and bear arms. And she says, whether it's Sarah or Tiffany Johnson, who is a firearms instructor out of Memphis, Tennessee, who says, you got to meet them not halfway. You got to meet them 60% or more. You got to give some overlap there to dialogue and to encourage. And if you're only talking to people who already agree with you, you're losing. You're not going to win the fight. And so in order to make progress, we have to work not with the folks who are already strongly for gun rights in our legislature, say, for instance. Right. We have to work with the folks who are, gosh, man, I don't know that that's correct. Now, you might be able to convince the legislator a little bit, but you're going to make even more progress if instead of the legislator, you are working that bridge building with the constituency. Because when they hear it from the constituency that they would rather protect the right to keep and bear arms, then the politicians that get elected and the politicians that stick around will have to listen to that, and they will. So working in the constituency is number one, first and foremost, and then the elected officials working with those who are waffling and all those things, and then even working with those who are anti to try to moderate a little bit and build bridges and recognize this is a give and take, and there are different ideas in society, and that doesn't make you an evil person.
A good example, you might remember a couple of years ago, our governor and lieutenant governor in Iowa came to me for firearms training, but the entire staff had to come. And it was, well, we're going to the range today, so you have to come anyway. And I went around the class and I said, how many want to be here because you want to learn about firearms? And a couple of people said, I'm only here because the governor said we had to be here. And it was totally negative, clearly different political thinking. But after the day was over, their opinion had been totally changed. Like, I had fun. This was great. When can I come do it again?
Nice.
But if we hadn't got those people there, at least under some pretense, that never would have happened. Now, that leads me to the next thing. You do a national conference that I've been to in Kansas, and I kind of view that as a all-inclusive thing where I have witnessed people that were like a little like, I don't know if this is for me. He mentioned bullets and Bibles, and at the end, it's like, well, I can't believe it. He was just like, no matter where we were on the spiritual scale, we were just welcomed and felt like family. And just tell me a little bit about that conference and how people can find out about that.
Yeah, you can go to our website, activeselfprotection.com, find out about the national conference. It's the Active Self Protection National Conference this year. Like in years past, it's held at the Living Water Ranch. What's that?
And it's close to Iowa.
It's close. Yeah. Manhattan, Kansas, Living Water Ranch. And it's not too far. And it's the last full weekend in September. 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and all to benefit the Flint Hills foster teen camps. They help abused and abandoned foster teens have a chance at life. Those kids that are, foster teens, about 45% of them, the day that they turn 18, they're homeless. And their rate of chemical dependence and their rate of incarceration is astronomical. I mean, just ridiculously high. And so Mike and Lisa Irvin give those kids hope and a chance by bringing them out to summer camps and giving them hope. It's an incredible ministry. In order to come, you donate a week of camp for a kid. So you make a donation to the Flint Hills Foster Teen Camp, then that secures you a seat. We don't charge for the conference at all. It's all a fundraiser. We call it Bullets and Bibles because, listen, I was in vocational pastoral ministry for 14 years. Of course, it's conference style. So some people are like, I'm not real religious, John. How much of that is there? I mean, it's buffet style. Take what you want. And if you don't want that, you don't got to come to Bible study in the morning if you don't want to. We do a worship service on Saturday night. If you don't want to attend that, okay, man, that's totally fine. We're not going to judge you for it. Like, I get it, but there's all that. And then it's conference style all day of firearms instruction. There's classroom classes, range classes, mat-based classes, and of all different skill levels. So from rank beginner to very high. And like you said, we have folks who have come and like, I'm not comfortable around guns at all. Okay, there's tons of classroom classes that I think you'll get a lot out of. If you want to go to the range and observe a little bit, you probably can. And they come out of that going, wow, man, this was really something different. We've had folks who come and like, I'm not into Jesus at all. And I go, okay, that's cool, man. And then they leave going, but you welcomed me to come and worship with you anyways. Right. Of course they did. Like, like I say, we try to live a life of bridge building, and I respect you as a human, not as a target to try to get like me, but as a human being, as a complex, complicated human being. So it's my favorite weekend of the year. And John, you're being way too kind saying, oh, I've attended it. No, you were integral to the success.
I'm just going to tell people, if you go there, one of the things you will come away from is the words life-changing. We've heard that over and over. Where it's not just gun training, medical training, legal training. I mean, it's everything, but you come away with new relationships, with new respect for other people. So please check that out, activeselfprotection.com, go to their training link.
I think one of my favorite things of it is people who, after the training is done and after dinner is over, and then, they light some fires around the fire pits, and people sit around in lawn chairs, and whether they're just talking or smoking a cigar or having an adult beverage or whatever, everybody's different. They're allowed to do their own thing, and it builds relationships in ways that we just have never seen before. It's a cool time.
So, John Correia, the gun guy on YouTube, tell me, you've analyzed 30,000, probably more than that now, defensive uses of guns, different things, badge cams. Without giving your whole class away, just in a couple minutes, what are some takeaways that those of us at civilians, and I've taken your evidence-based pistol skills, so I know the answers here, but what can, just give us a few takeaways, like as far as, is it important to have a really fast draw, or what are you learning that can help the folks that are watching in Iowa be better defensive minded?
Yeah, I think number one, the first thing that we always say after analyzing 35,000 plus gunfights at this point, number one, pay attention in your world, right? If you're paying attention in your world, you're vastly far ahead of everyone else. And by paying attention, I don't just mean don't be on your phone. I mean, see with fresh eyes, be curious of your world, because when you can see danger coming, it's just like driving. The farther in front of you, you can see it, the more options you have in order to protect yourself. Number two, carry your gun. For golly gosh sakes, carry your gun. There's nothing worse than forfeiting a gun.
Pretty sure. Yep. Okay. I was just making sure I had it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that carry your gun. Number two. And then, when you talk about the number one thing, when the gunfight starts, now this is when the victim selection has already happened. The bad guy is already committed to the fight. You have a gunfight on your hands. Getting that gun out quickly and the first hit in an anatomically significant place is the single critical skill to winning a gunfight. Now, there's more than that skills needed, but having the ability to get the gun out as fast as you possibly can, and get a good, accurate hit fast is the key, because somebody's trying to kill you, they're hurrying. You probably need to hurry in return. So we have 3 standards for that we have identified on camera again and again and again. If you watch the main channel, you'll see them again and again, not because I'm trying to harp on them, but just because as we analyze and see, we see the standards show up. The standard of a concealed carrier is a 2.0 second draw and first shot. And in an armed robbery, if you're complying and looking for an opportunity, then what you need to see in order to do that is you need to see the back of his head. He needs to show you the back of his head or show you at least his shoulder. So if he turns away his head and shows you his shoulder, then you can draw and fire in 2 seconds and get a hit before he can get on you. The professional standard is 1.5 seconds. He can keep his shoulders to you, but he has to show you his ear. So if he shows you his ear, and I say he, about 99% of the attackers are male. So, okay, so if he shows you his ear and he's looking at you and then looks away to see what's going on here, he can't get back and see you in under 1.5 and get a shot off. So if you can get a 1.5, you're good. The expert standard is 1.0. If he's looking at you and he's got a gun on you and he just turns his nose to look at something else and you got a 1.0 draw to first shot, he can't beat you back. So those are our 3 standards, and the 2.0 and 1.5 pretty easy to handle if you know how to do so effectively, if you've been taught well. That's my plug to go to gun school, right? To get at least a class or 2 under your belt beyond your CCW so that you know the mechanics of that. And if you can't even do that, if that's not possible, go to the Active Self-Protection Extra channel, and we have a whole series on building a reliable and fast draw and first hit, and that can be very helpful.
Yeah, I definitely encourage folks to check out that extra channel. There's dry practice groups that you guys got running on Facebook. There's just so many tools, even if you can't get to the range, that you can improve your skills at home through watching and practicing and kind of moving along with the rest of the folks that are doing the same thing. Yep. So, John Correia, just it's been a lot of fun getting to know you over the last several years. Appreciate you as a brother and a dear friend, and look forward to getting you back up to Iowa and do some kind of training and hopefully in the air together again one of these days.
Yes, I would love it. Yeah, John is my crack dealer with airplane stuff, and so with flying stuff for sure. And of course, we need to be out there going to see the folks. One of our great sponsors is out in Coon Rapids, Iowa, and so New Way Forward, and so we're going to be out there soon, John. So let's make it happen.
All right, sounds good. We'll talk to you soon, and appreciate you being here on our Warrior Wednesday show.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.